Hey, what's up guys, Hedrymas here with another guide. This time it's going to be a pretty short guide where I'm going to teach you how to play Assassination Rogue on Vectis on Mythic difficulty. I'm going to go over the tips and tricks first, and after that I'll show you the full boss fight. For the talents, you're going to be going over the normal talent setup. There's two talents that you need to pick, or you should pick if you want to be most effective on the boss. The first talent is Elusiveness. What this does, it reduces all the damage you take from non-area of effect attacks by 30% for 5 seconds, which is going to be very strong when you have the debuff or when you're about to take a lot of damage. And the second talent we pick is Exsanguate. The reason we pick Exsanguate over Toxic Bait is because the ads need to die really fast, and Exsanguate excels at killing something very fast. Now let's go over the fight. So you start the fight with your opener, but one important change is that you do not use your Vanish, because if you use your Vanish you won't have it for the ad. So you do your normal opener, the first ad spawns, you dot it up with Garrote and Rupture, and here you have to make sure that your dots don't fall off the boss, because it's actually very easy to let the dots fall off. You need to pay attention to it. So you dot the ad and you just focus the ad until it's dead. It's pretty simple. Now when the second ad comes, what you're gonna do is you're gonna Vanish, you're gonna Garrote to the boss, then you're gonna Garrote the ad, then you're gonna Rupture the ad, then you're gonna Exsanguate the ad, and then you're just gonna DPS the ad. The ad should die really fast, and you should be doing about 30k DPS on the ad, so it's very strong to use Exsanguate on it. Your dots should fall off about when your dots are done doing the damage. And again, make sure your dots do not fall off the boss as well, your Rupture. Also, do not Garrote the ad again, because right now there is a bug where with Shrouded Suffocation, if you Garrote an enemy that is not empowered, if your Garrote is not empowered, your previously empowered Garrotes will not be empowered. So basically, you Garrote the enemy, or you Garrote the ad, then when Garrote falls off, you do not reapply it. When Rupture falls off, you can reapply it, but the ad should be dead, and then you just go back on the boss. Now the main part of the fight is the debuff. The debuff will, after 15 seconds, jump to the next target, and you will get some damage while you do it. And the reason why Rogue is great for this debuff is because, first of all, we have Feint, which is very strong, but we have Cloak of Shadows. What Cloak of Shadows does is, it's not going to remove the debuff, but when the debuff expires and it jumps to another person, it's going to give you a stack. So what you do is, before this happens, you cloak. When the debuff jumps to another player, you will not get a stack. This is very strong because if you do about 3 phases of the fight, you can ignore about 3 debuffs in total, which is very strong, especially if you're stacking multiple rogues. So if you have like 3 rogues, you can ignore 9 of the debuffs, which is very strong. Now a second thing you have to do is, the healers have a very hard time healing on this fight, so you should be using your Feint whenever it feels like you have to. When everyone is taking damage, you have the debuff, AoE is coming, and so on. So there's this AoE called Contagion, which when it happens, everyone is going to get hit and take damage. If you have the debuff at the same time, you're gonna take a lot of damage. So a smart thing to do if you're not full HP, or if you have a big absorb shield, is to Feint before the AoE happens while you have the debuff. So for example, we have 5 seconds left before Contagion comes and we have the debuff. On about 4.5 seconds we'll Feint, then we'll take a lot less damage from the AoE, plus we take less damage from the debuff, and it will actually save our life most likely. Another thing you can use is Crimson Vial. Crimson Vial should be used during the normal phase, the phase 1, whenever you actually have to, which shouldn't be often. It might actually happen in last phase, but you shouldn't really have to use it. But make sure you remember that you actually have it in case you do have to use it. But the main thing why this is good is because in the intermission while we soak zones, make sure whenever you soak a zone, you can just use Feint, you can use Crimson Vial, you can use anything to just keep yourself alive and take some pressure off the healers. Another good thing to do during that phase is to also just go to a healer if they have the debuff, or go to anyone, just take the debuff off them, so there is some less pressure and you can just Feint and reduce the damage taken by a lot. Now there's one more thing why rogues are really good on the fight, and something you should know. In the case where you get a double debuff, which basically means someone messed up and one person has 2 debuffs, what you do is you try to take the debuff of the people, you communicate with the raid, you take the debuff of the person that has the 2 debuffs, you survive until the debuffs are about to expire, then just when they expire, you shadow step to a person, so the first debuff that jumps to someone will jump to someone, then you will shadow step, and then the next debuff will jump to someone else. This is very difficult to pull off, but if you can pull it off, you can actually save a pull that would otherwise be a wipe. Also, another note on the double debuff is, if you do have the double debuff and you have Cloak available, make sure you use it on this, because you're actually negating 2 stacks, which is very insane. I didn't explain the tactics of the boss itself, because you should probably be watching a boss guide for this. This is mainly a guide to give you some tips and some tricks for Assassination Rogue on how you can do better as an Assassination Rogue, and not how to play the fight itself. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.